Hello and welcome to Season 5, Episode 27 of Logicast, the AWS News Podcast brought to you by Logicata. I'm Carl Robinson, CEO and co-founder of Logicata, and I'm joined today, as always, by a rather hot and bothered principal cloud engineer, John Goodall. How are you doing today, John?
I'm bothered and hot.
Is that because of the weather or is that because of something else?
Oh, the hot is because of the weather, although it has actually just started to rain, so the humidity in my office has just gone through the roof, which is just horrible. I can probably see it on the camera. I'm just bored of this now. It's either first world problems. I have portable air conditioning, which is loud as hell, but it does make the room cold, or I can be hot. So I could be deaf or hot. I can't be comfortable.
Well, proper air conditioning is required then, I think. But
I spent all my money on a camper van.
That's a different. Go and sit in that. You could broadcast from there, from the camper van.
Yeah, with the air conditioning running. Yeah.
Set it up like a little mobile studio and get the aircon running, and away we go.
Well, I might just do that. Actually, I might do that.
Well, we shouldn't complain about the weather because it has been a lovely summer in the UK this year, and some rain is long overdue. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about AWS news, and we're delighted to be joined by fellow AWS community builder, Alam Ahmad. How are you doing today, Alam?
I'm fine. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Very well, very well. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Alam, for the AWS community and for a living.
Okay, so for the community, I post daily on LinkedIn. All things AWS related, all things AI, DevOps related. I am a community builder, so I focus on dev tools. So I publish weekly, and then I give talks. So the last talk I gave was a few days ago on the Well Architect meetup in London. I think roughly about 33, 34 people attended. It was recorded. I was cracking a lot of jokes. Which is very normal of me. And then what I do for a living is that I work for a company called Boxy. So I work in a knock. So I do 4 days on, 4 days off, incident response. So when people talk about 2 p.m. outage, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a 2 p.m. outage. I have seen a 12 p.m. outage, and they're really fun. They always cascade for some reason. One goes after another. So yeah, I work in incident response. I've been there for about 2.5 years now. And I'm trying to move into a AWS cloud role, preferably a junior role.
So
yes.
Is your knock across other platforms in addition to AWS? Or?
Yes. So we focus a lot on Azure. We focus a lot on Cisco. A lot of it is networking. A lot of it is security. Predominantly is just security. So if something goes down, we got to bring it back up. If something happens, we work alongside third companies like Salvation Army, Standard Advisory, and then we manage part of the infrastructure. For some customers, we manage all of the infrastructure. For other customers, we manage some of it. So it's a lot of it's run process-driven. We do nights, and then at night time we have to do certain checks, and days we have to do certain checks. Sometimes we're in the office, sometimes we're at home. So yeah, it's full on, but it's fun. Because you're never bored. If you love problem solving, if you love technology, there's always something to do. My manager is quite nice. The guys I work with are quite nice. So that makes the job easier and fun.
Always helps. Yeah. Absolutely, always helps.
So my manager's no good at all. Rubbish.
No, he's a bit of a
HR.
He's rather strict.
HR.
Yeah. I'm that too. Yeah. That all sounds great, Alan. Where do you publish your content? We'll be sure to include a link to that in the show notes.
So it's all on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. Probably have to mute me after a while because I do publish a lot. It's like, pick your stuff. You get it on the social life. But everything is on LinkedIn. So I haven't posted anything today because I was preparing for this. But recently I published on AWS's Q2 on its earnings, and then I published around S3 Clone by Wiz. So I'm not really focused on the company that publishes it, more around what is currently trending, what the community might find interesting, what I find interesting, and then I publish that. So sometimes it's a technical deep dive, sometimes it's a bit cheesy, sometimes just a quote. So something just to keep the community and the algorithms happy and going. So it's primarily on LinkedIn. I post.
Cool.
But yeah,
We'll make sure we include a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. And in the theme of posting things that are novel, that might interest the community, that's what we're here to talk about. So as regular listeners to the podcast will know, once a week I curate a list of AWS news I share via my weekly AWS News Roundup newsletter. And then John picks a selection of the articles from the newsletter that we share with our guests. So we have, of course, shared such a selection with Alam this week. And the first article is a new feature announcement about AWS Secrets Manager, which now publishes secret update notifications to Amazon EventBridge. So, John, what was it that caught your eye about this particular new feature?
Mostly it was Corey Quinn's reaction to it because he has an amazing way with words. See if I can find it.
Yeah.
The short version, where is it? I can't even find it. But the short version is, you'd have thought this was a thing that was being done for a while, but it wasn't. Okay, so when you update Secrets Manager, you historically only saw it in CloudTrail, right? That's all you get a notification in CloudTrail, and you'd have to basically do some sort of witchcraft, black magic, deal with the devil, and all sorts of other nasty things. You know, secret handshake with who are the ones that do it's the Masons. You have to do a Mason's handshake. Yeah, you'd have to do a secret handshake with the Masons, deal with the devil, sell your soul, and fiddle down the bayou to have some sort of concept that something has happened within your secrets, which is just mad, because of all the things that you'd really want to be able to know, secrets have changed. That's probably one of them. And yeah, okay, CloudTrail is the correct service for that sort of thing because it's the log of every API call in creation, but it's not exactly the nicest thing to be able to parse and interpolate. And if you wanted to be able to take action off the back of your secret being updated, which you probably do want to be able to take action off the back of your secret being updated, you had to stitch together a vast array of different things in order to be able to do that. Now you don't. Right, the notification just shoves it onto EventBridge on the default bus, and all you need to do is just set a metric filter, and you're away to the races, right? Which is brilliant, because as I say, if you want to be able to do something off the back of a secret being updated, maybe validate who did it, good option, then it's a lot easier to do than it used to be.
Cool. What are your thoughts on this one, Alan?
So this is quite, I'm going to say common sense is not so common. So like Corey said, I think it's a bit, so it provides visibility, obviously, across distributed infrastructure. It reduces the risk of application failure. There's an element of common sense that should have been applied early on. With regards to enabling this feature, it helps security teams with credentials changes. So I wouldn't say visibility around credentials are extremely important, because it is like a low-hanging fruit when you want to attack an infrastructure or if you want to attack an organization. So yeah, I would say common sense is not so common. But in regards of it being a feature that pretty much everybody should have enabled, especially if you're working with a large team, especially if there's high turnover within the organization, it's something you need to have visibility around. But yeah.
This doesn't solve my biggest gripe and a lot of people's biggest gripe with Secrets Manager, and that they charge you, 40 cents, 50 cents per secret, which is a little bit ridiculous considering that you can get functionally the same functionality, near identical, within SSM parameters, within a secure string parameter, because it's secure string. It's still actually JSON. It's encrypted with the same KMS keys. Okay, Secrets Manager handles automatic rotation for you now. SSM doesn't, but that's not like it's a hard thing to build. And historically, you had to build that yourself with Secrets Manager anyway. So lots of people still have that code kicking around. And honestly, a little bit of boilerplate helper code these days is trivial to write. You don't have to think about doing it. You just have, an agent write it. So that's not a big differentiator. So you can either pay 40 cents a secret for something that's now kind of usable. I mean, it was usable anyway, right? But it's now slightly better than it was. Or you can pay... what is it? Nothing.
That's a hard sell.
Cost optimization tips there. If you've got a lot of secrets, then you could save some money that way. But I guess, but perhaps there was one of the AWS solution blog posts somewhere explaining how to do this before it became available as a feature. So hopefully that's since been deleted.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be amazed if it didn't still exist, because they only seem to pull things that we want to talk about, and they don't seem to pull things that we get bored of.
Well, we shall see, but sounds like it's a welcome feature, having secret updates pushed to EventBridge. Let's move on to our second article for this week. This is an article on help desk security, all about how AWS wants GuardDuty to automate the first steps of threat investigations. So obviously GuardDuty, AI-powered investigations of GuardDuty findings is something that seems to be on the agenda now for AWS. So what are your thoughts on this, John?
A lot. So GuardDuty itself, for the uninitiated, takes in what they call signals from, I think, half a dozen or so, possibly more now, different sources, right? And that's VPC Flow Logs, that's CloudTrail, that's RDS login attempts. There's a few other bits and pieces in there as well, but there's a reasonably kind of capacious list these days of what it takes in. And the upshot is, if you've got it turned on, you don't have to route it to GuardDuty. Through witchcraft, GuardDuty just gets the data, right? So if you've got a CloudTrail trail, GuardDuty will be able to read it. You don't have to tell GuardDuty where it is. Same with your flow logs, same with event logins and all this kind of thing, right? Because it's reading from event bus and stuff as well, which is really cool. What that means is, if you get, and we use this for a lot of our customers, is if you get so-and-so a person that has logged in from weird country, that's never logged in before, or from different part of the country that they've never logged in before, their IP address has changed, or they're doing something that they've not done before, you will get a few notifications from GuardDuty. It will go, oh, I've seen this. This is odd. You might want to look into it. Great. Wonderful. That's really, really useful, particularly because a lot of the time, the notification, the finding, as it calls it, has a lot of what you need in it to really quickly work out what's going on, if you understand the environment. If you don't understand the environment, GuardDuty can be really painful, because you're going, I don't know whether or not this is valid, and I now need to go and do a lot of digging, talk to customers, talk to users, work out what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Unless it's something really obvious, right? Like brute force attack, credential stuffing, crypto mining, that kind of thing, calling out to weird endpoints. Those are a bit more obvious, but the stuff that's less obvious is kind of hard to work out, and that takes a lot of time. That's the sort of thing that a SOC would probably look at doing, and they're quite expensive. AWS seems to be coming for the SOC industry's lunch quite a lot, because they've got the security agent, now they've got a GuardDuty agent. What the GuardDuty agent is going to do is, so long as GuardDuty is enabled, you can tell it to go and investigate a specific finding, a specific account, or the entire organization. I say the entire, the first 100 in an organization. And I've worked in some fairly big places. 100 accounts in an organization is probably on the upper limit of what I've ever seen. So for most people, that's going to be their whole log that it'll go and look at, right? And it will go and look at the contents, look at the findings, look at activity that's related to it. It'll tie everything up, and it will give you kind of a single report with what it says is actionable recommendations. Now, I've not tried it, so I'd have to try it to find out how actionable they are. But the idea is, you can either go in and go, oh, I've had a finding, because you've had a ping from your finding, because you've done, the notifications that you're supposed to do. You go into the GuardDuty console, go, GuardDuty, tell me about that one, please. And it will go off and it will do the legwork for you, so you don't have to. Or, in theory, you could be able to, string together this into some sort of automated response, so that GuardDuty sends a notification to something that then triggers GuardDuty to go back and go and investigate, right? Which is brilliant. The idea there, I guess, being, rather than just, I've seen this server is calling out to this weird endpoint, you might want to look at it. It then goes from that to, I have looked at it and this is what I think is going on. You should lock this down. You should quarantine this, or it's probably fine. Or, we've got this user that's logged in from Belarus for the first time, but that's actually okay because they're a new user and that's where they live. But, I've been able to correlate that and work it out. Or they haven't logged in for 6 months because they were, on maternity leave or whatever. So why are they logging in now? Oh, because they're now back again. And it can hopefully, reduce a lot of the effort there. So I like this. I like this a lot because it's obviously a preview. It doesn't cost anything at the minute, and I'd very much like to see what this is going to cost. I did start looking into the pricing for the DevOps agent, and that is tied to your support plan, which is a little bit annoying. You have to have support DevOps agent, and then there's pricing on top of that, but you get some credits back, which I wonder if they're going to do the same with this, because that's a really unfriendly pricing model. I prefer to just pay for something personally, but there we go.
Just before I ask you your opinion on this, Alan, just one thing I thought was a bit odd on this was the investigation agent is in lowercase, not title case. So I guess it's not a thing in its own right. It's just like a sub feature of guard duty, perhaps. Because
Or
the
it's
DevOps
poor
agent
it's reporting. It's poor reporting.
Well, no, because I Googled it, and AWS's own blog article also puts it in the same case. So Guard Duty has its correct title case with the and what do they call the case where you've got two words munged together with a capital in the middle?
There is a word for
it. There is a term for that particular case. But anyway, even on AWS's own blog post on the security blog announcing this, investigation agent is in lowercase, so it's not.
Well, I take it back. HelpNet Security. I take it back.
Yeah. No, HelpNet Security have reported it as per Amazon's own article. But it's odd because DevOps agent and security agent, they are things. They are part of the agent army that's being rolled out by AWS, or the agent toolkit, I should call it really.
No, we're going with that. We're going with that.
Agent army. I call it the agent army. But anyway, this doesn't seem to be part of the agent army because it doesn't get capital letters. Sort of thing I noticed. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this, Alan? I'm sure you've got something deeper to say than me.
So I love it. I love the AWS agent, DevOps agent also. The thing I love what these agents are doing is they're dealing with the low-hanging fruit. So it's integrating with the SIEM's ticketing tools. It's you can support MCP. So with AI assistance, integration with Claude or Cairo. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Cairo.
And then it maps findings with a multi-attack framework, which is quite cool. Uses cross-region interface with the encryption data in transit. So I read all of these articles like beforehand, and I'm just like taking notes and talk about this and talk about that. But yeah, it's really cool. It delivers structured reports. Reduce manual labor. I think a lot of these agents, what they're trying to do is reduce manual labor and introduce a level of automation, just to free up the teams to do other things, just to go deeper into this. So it's primarily focused on stock level 1 or just like junior roles, but even it's helping junior assistants or junior guys and girls with their jobs. So it's just providing them with more information. You can access it via CLI, SDK, and via console. So that again is really cool. But yeah, I quite enjoy it. Whenever AWS brings anything AI related, I'm like, oh, this looks fun. Can I play with it? And then I'm like, no, I don't want to play with it anymore. I'm not going to get work done. But yeah, I quite like what they're doing with regards to AI, because they're taking what currently the customers are seeing, what the employees are doing, and then they're just like bringing it all together. They're looking at what's currently in the industry at a high level, and then they're just like bringing it into automating it or creating an agent of some sort. But yeah, I quite enjoy it. But yeah.
Cool.
Well,
watch the space. Watch this space to see if it gets said in capital letters in the future or not, or if it just disappears into Guard Duty itself. And also watch this space for what it's going to cost. Hopefully, it's not going to cost $1 trillion like the bill that this user got in our next article. This is an article on the PC Mag about we chose the PC Mag article, but I think it was in pretty much every single news outlet when this particular glitch occurred, that there was a glitch with the AWS billing console that left people thinking that their AWS bill had gone to trillions of dollars. So the title of the PC Mag article is "Got a Spare Trillion? Amazon AWS glitch leaves customers with eye-popping bills." So what happened, John?
So I haven't looked into the minutiae of this, but it's one of those off by a factor of whatever because someone forgot that bits and bytes are different, I think, is effectively what's gone on. So it was off by a factor of many trillions. The highest one that I came across, because this, as you say, this was in all the news media, this was in all the articles, and this was all over LinkedIn and kind of the rest of it, was I saw 55 trillion. Was the highest one, with a forecast end of month of 103 trillion. So they owed, allegedly, AWS more than the entire GDP of the United States of America, which is impressive.
So bad. So bad.
Yeah, someone in our team actually hit this themselves. And I think theirs was, I don't know, about 10 million or something, which was, budgeted amount of 10 billion, budgeted amount of $10, and it came out with 10.4 billion, which is a bit like, what? How have I done that sort of territory? The content of this is pretty dull, right? Someone made a mistake in the billing console, they fixed it. What's more telling about this is Amazon's incredibly poor reaction to this, because honestly, you get bills like this and people will, I can't say the actual word because we go on the internet and algorithms hate the actual word, but people lose their lives over this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen this before with stock market things going up and down, and of this sort of thing happening, right? And I'm dancing around it because I don't want to get us banned, but I think the listeners can kind of get my point. And then support via, I don't know, Threads or TikTok or Twitter or one of these sorts of cesspools of the internet that I refuse to go in too much, said we had a slight, brackets, just a slight billing issue, which is just so incredibly tone deaf for this, right? Is you've looked at the marketing team from Aldi or Ryanair and thought they're doing something cool, let's do that. No, not on billing, not on something this serious. It should have just been, we've had this problem, here's what the problem was, we're terribly sorry, we fixed it. If anyone feels, aggrieved by this because of whatever, we've made these resources available to you, insert army of therapists, because actual big businesses take this incredibly seriously, and small hobbyists would have just looked at it and, genuinely, if you've got a dodgy ticker or whatever, could have had an actual health event from this. So that was just so incredibly tone deaf.
Would that have made it onto the health event dashboard, though, if you had such a...
Your personal health event, yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on this one, Alan?
I think the Apple Watch would be gone for this. I don't know. I saw Corey's response to it. He posted a GitHub application of someone you could actually do it yourself, saying that 10 minutes would get you so much. The highest I saw was, I think it was like 7.8 trillion, which is quite a lot, regardless of how you want to slice and dice it. I think AWS confirmed it via X-Bills, where I think what happened was that it was described internally as a slight miscalculation. So going forward, if you get a bill of like 3 billion, just say it was a slight miscalculation. So it's all good. But I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about it. I just thought it was really funny. And then on a serious note, I do agree with regards to billing and regards to money. When someone sees a huge bill, they do end up getting really upset about it, because one of the first books I did, my bill was like £300, and oh dear Lord, what am I going to do? That was like £300, so I don't know what people might be thinking when they see it, 3 billion or a trillion. So yeah.
I mean, there's a level of maybe you might apply a bit of logic, because there's no way in hell you could have spent that much money, right? But the response from Amazon was just so incredibly tone deaf. If you go and click through to the article, and listeners, I encourage you to do this as well, and I apologize because you have to sign up for X to see all of the replies, formerly known as Twitter. The first response is basically echoing what I've just said, is this is a psychopathic level of tone deafness, and then a lot of reasons. And then the next response to that is the image of Linus Torvalds just giving NVIDIA the finger, but that. And then, to be fair, Corey's one shows up and says, companies seeing in a bill people that have left a NAT gateway behind, with the whole first time, not my first time. So, yeah, there's an amount of levity that can be kind of made at this, but equally, that's one of those, not from the support. That's the community should be poking fun at you for this. You don't get to join in.
Definitely not, no. But I guess we could be thankful that it wasn't on payment day. And these are not transactions that the AWS tried to put against people's cards or bank accounts.
I mean, billing is eventually consistent, right? It's not real time. It's 2 or 3 days after the fact. It's eventually consistent. And you'd have liked to have thought that people would have seen this even on billing day. And I physically don't have, $105 trillion. Weird that you don't pay me enough. I don't have that much money. So you'd have thought that the bank would have looked at that sort of transactionary credit card provider or whatever, would have looked at that and gone, that looks like fraud, we're going to block that, because it's just a ridiculous number.
I would imagine it would be instantly rejected because nobody's got that sort of credit limit on their credit card. So
I don't know. Andy Burnham might do. Brings out the UK company card.
Well, no, because I think one of them was what does it say in the article? 7 trillion, which is more than the combined GDP of the UK and Canada. So he'd have to get together with his mates to pay that bill.
Just pop over, tap up Mark Carney for the rest of it. Job's a good one.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, let's move on to another glitch, but this time a little bit smaller. This one only affected a single customer. It's also, well, it's not also. This is an article on the Register, all about how an AWS customer learned the hard way about how even the smallest oversight can be mission critical. So I think this is about the classic expired credit card allowing the customer domain to lapse and the fallout of such an oversight. So we've seen this recently ourselves, John, within our customer base, and it's it's not an AWS specific thing. It's been going on for years. That make sure that you've got up-to-date payment methods for your domain name, because everything hangs with it, and if it disappears, then you're a little bit screwed. So what are your thoughts on this particular issue?
I mean, if you're going to say that word, you should probably say attached helically about an axis to avoid the algo filter. You get helically about an axis. Yeah, we like that one. Big Bang Theory joke there, showing my age and showing my nerd. So this one, we've seen this within our customer base because we help some of our customers look after this, but not all of them, because some of them want to look after their own domain names and what have you themselves, which is, that's fine. That's not a problem there at all. This was a... what do they call it? A comedy of errors, I think, on part of this guy. And the problem is, it wasn't just him with his own personal projects. He's some sort of web developer that hosts things for people as well. So it took out all of his customers in turn, which is very not fun for them, right? So exactly what happened to this guy. So what happened was... he noticed all the websites and Google Workspace email accounts connected to all the domains that he managed were offline. They were all hosted through Route 53, and none of them were resolving. He went digging, found in his spam folder lots of messages from AWS telling him his payment card had expired, warning him that everything was going to be suspended unless he took action. He didn't, because he didn't see the messages. He accepted responsibility. That's good of you, because it was your fault. I'm sorry, I accept responsibility for punching you in the face because I punched you in the face. Right, wonderful. This is the world that we live in now, is I accept responsibility for my mistake. Well, no one else is going to. From there, root account had MFA with a software authenticator that was stored on an old laptop that was broken. What? And he'd been getting around that. I know. And he'd been getting around that by the MFA email backup, which is just stupid, because he hadn't fixed that. And then the email address where the codes were going belonged to one of the domains whose DNS was hosted in the suspended account. So he then couldn't log in because he wasn't using the software authenticator because it was on a broken laptop. He was using an email authenticator, which he couldn't get into the emails for because the whole thing was suspended. So it took several days, I think, of working out how he could validate that he was who he say he was and that he wanted to give them the money to pay for it, and so on and so on and so on. But it did eventually get resolved, and all of his customers came back online. Right. The lesson from the guy at the center of this, because he's been quoted several times, is one: pay your bills. Well, duh, obviously. The more important one, I think, obviously, don't do the MFA shortcut thing. Don't do that. You shouldn't need root for various things. You should, and so on and so on. The big one, though, for me, actually, was do not put the thing that manages your stuff in the same place as the stuff. Now, what do I mean by that? In this case, it was in an Amazon account that was suspended because of non-payment, so he couldn't actually get into the account to pay the bill, right? Because he locked himself out by not paying his own bill. What you absolutely should not be doing that. You need to be able to have the backup method, for lack of a better term, of getting into your AWS account or whatever other hosting service outside of that hosting service. Yeah, it's why, for my personal one, I have a handful of things. I recently moved all of my domains into Route 53 because I got bored of paying GoDaddy and just but it comes to my personal Gmail email, because that way I can't get locked out of that because they're disconnected from each other. So even if I do all of these things and cock up and stop paying my bills, one, I'm not hosting things on other people, but two, I'll still be able to get recovery codes to my email because I won't get locked out of it because it's somewhere else. That's the big one, right? Is you can make all the mistakes in the world. Do not put the thing that manages your work in the same place as your work. That's the big one.
What are your thoughts on this, Alan? Anything coming through the knock, this type of thing? Expired payment methods?
Yes, not expired payment methods, but more around stuff like DNS, small misconfigurations, not having a backup MFA, not taking account of employees leaving, making sure that all hardware is taken account of. So, like if someone leaves, you disable their accounts, and it's more around like small footprints have a massive effect. So the joke is always on social media is like it's not DNS, and it's like, yeah, this one was actually DNS, or it's not the network, and like, yeah, this one was it. So yeah, it just having a level of hygiene when it comes to your basic stuff can actually have a massive impact on you in a good way and a bad way, and you could just save the guy a lot of hassle. But yeah, I think it was a web digital firm called Taproom. They lost all their clients' websites and emails after the AWS account suspension. So yeah, it's a sad affair that has happened to someone over a small misstep. And then the funny thing is that he was trying to resolve it, and then he was just bounced from one department to another department to another department within AWS. So it's like working with a large company or trying to get a contract with a large company like AWS. It's not easy. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was outside his hands, but there's a lot of stuff within his own grip that he should have taken care. But again, hindsight is a beautiful thing. So it's easy for us to say, but more often than not, we all make these stupid mistakes.
Yep. So it's definitely hard to get in touch with these companies when you haven't paid their bills. That's one of the most challenging things.
Yeah, the irony is, I want to pay the bill.
Yeah.
You can't pay the bill because we can't prove you're the person who owes the bill. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a funny story if you think nobody will know, if you think nobody likes you, just miss one car payment, and you'll just see the amount of emails and messages you get. You miss a car payment, you miss a car payment, you miss a car payment. I'm like, okay, I'll pay my car payment, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a good way if you want some attention if you're bored. You want something to do, just miss a car payment. You miss the bill.
For the listeners in anywhere that tracks credit history, we have to recommend that you do not do that.
For fun, go for it.
Well, it depends what it's for, So maybe try it with the low risk thing first.
Yeah. That's more than working way up.
Yep. On that, though, let's move along to our final article this week. It's an article on Tom's Hardware about a further attack on the Amazon data center in Bahrain. And the title or the headline of this article is Amazon data center in Bahrain struck and destroyed by Iranian cruise missiles, state media claims. Attacks launched against the site in response to alleged US strikes on an under construction nuclear plant. So we've spoken about the attacks in the Middle East before on the podcast. This one seemed to imply that the entire facility was destroyed. I haven't actually researched this myself to see if there's any other
claim from Iranians. It's claimed by Iranian state media, so it wasn't.
Have you validated that though? Because I haven't tried to be fair.
No, I popped out whilst you were on holiday last week. I thought I'd just, pop over to Bahrain, have a mooch. No, I haven't validated it. But anything that you get from state media, from any places, be that, honestly, media, VPC, let's be honest, pinch yourself, you cannot trust what state media is saying. And I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist there, but somewhere like, the Iranian state media absolutely has an agenda, and it's just a propaganda machine. Never mind the fact that you would have to, you know how big these data centers are, Carl, and I'm sure some of the listeners do as well. I've been to a couple of smaller ones. I've certainly been to distribution centers and things that are similar sorts of scales. One missile is not taking that out. You'd have to hit it with rather a few. So, yes, it's probably been hit. Yes, it's been damaged. I think it's probably been hit and damaged several times already, and Amazon is meant to be working to restore service in these areas. But, if you're still operating in those areas, you've got to get your workloads out now. And this is terrible for the people that live there and work there and all the rest of it. But you've got to get your workloads out. You cannot be trusting these places to run anything securely anymore.
I think what's interesting is that AWS said that 0 customers were impacted. and that they proactively moved all of the customers forward to the customers to other sites. What's also interesting is just like having a failover attempt, but geopolitics is something where now do we have to consider when we're picking zones to host our infrastructure? So that's why so with regards to state media, shocking, absolutely shocking to have the bias, absolutely shocking. Of course, next thing saying BBC space. I'm joking. So really shut sometimes, but yeah, they've also said that the Iranians have also said that they've tried to target Microsoft, Apple, Google, and OpenAI Stargate data center in Dubai. So yeah, it's quite interesting because when the one in Canada went down, like the whole world went down also. So I don't know. I think I don't know. It's really funny.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you just can't rely on having your workloads in these places at the minute. You just can't.
Yeah.
That's about the size of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having a quick search around while you guys were talking, and found an article from 5 days ago that said the status page has not been updated for this facility since the 30th of April, when Amazon were basically advising customers to put their workloads somewhere else. So it doesn't sound particularly good. I think a lot of damage has been done. Whether it's completely gone or not is neither here nor there. If it's unable
No,
to
but that's been the
reliably
advice
operate,
since the first set of strikes on it, hasn't it? That's been the advice for a while. Is just don't use this one.
Yeah.
I'm moving all my workloads to Australia immediately.
Yes, I suppose fairly stable out there, but then you may have a latency issue.
Yeah.
That's what cloud runs for.
Yeah. You may get $1 trillion bill for data transfer.
Then you look at the currency. Then you look at the currency, and it's not. It's $9. It's in what Australia currently deals
It's $1
with.
trillion Australian dollars, which is about what £5.90.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's quite as bad as the lira was, but yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, on that note, we have reached the end of our time for season. What are we on? Season 5, episode 27, I think, of Logicast.
Sounds right.
So yeah, I think that's what I said at the beginning, but that was ages ago. So anyway, it just remains for me to thank you, Alan, very much for joining us today and sharing your insights on the AWS news. Thank you, John, as always, for your insights as well. And if you have listened this far, thank you very much for listening. If you have enjoyed it, please give us a like or a rating on whichever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Please do recommend us to your friends. We are available to download from wherever you download your podcasts, and we are also available on the Logicata YouTube channel. So that's it for episode 5. No, season 5, episode 27. I just can't seem to get that out reliably today. So we will be back next week with another episode for you. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
No, we won't. I'm on holiday.